Today I have the pleasure to welcome Reyno De Beer at KLA TV. A very special man, I would say, for he has taken up something one would not believe it were possible. He lives in Pretoria, Gauteng province, South Africa. He is 48 years old. He is founder and president of the Liberty Fighters Network, LFN, and works with only 8 co-workers and associates. But as for the impact, they are legion, as you will see. LFN is active since 2017 and, as the website says, a relentless force for justice, a voluntary association not for gain, but for the transformation of our legal landscape, taking on the criminal banking network and driving comprehensive reforms within the justice system of South Africa and across the African continent. Reyno, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Please tell us how you came up with the idea of LFN.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Well, I've been a human rights activist for the past 30 years already, since I've actually left school. So this is a passion of mine. I totally dislike the fact that people are being trampled on by large corporations and our governments. So in South Africa, where everyone basically knows that we have a history of discrimination and oppression, it is ideal situation for us to come forward, and especially as a white South African, to take a lead in liberation of all our people, irrespective the race and our religions. We've got plenty of religions in South Africa as well, and for that reason, we have to take special care to choose our fights with the government and large corporations, and to pursue that until the very end.
So you have fights at the courts, and as I understood, you are helping people. Can you say something about that?
Oh, definitely. Our main challenges that we do is through our court system, and we also escalate the moment when we have exhausted our court system up till our constitutional court, which is our apex court in South Africa. We then pursue the matters to the African Commission on Human People's Rights, which is an organ of the African Union. And while we are doing that, we also attend to specific individual cases where people have problems with bank repossessions, large corporations trampling on their rights. So when they can't afford to go to legal practitioners, which are, and everyone knows all over the world, they are very expensive. So especially in a country like South Africa, where most of our people are really living on the breadline, it is important to have an organization like ours that the moment when they can't afford going to a legal practitioner, they come to us and we assist them free of charge.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and a concept that we'll come back on that. Can you explain 1 or 2 court cases that you won?
Well, our most successful one up till today is that we have way back on the June the 2nd, 2020, we were successful in obtaining a High Court order declaring our COVID-19 lockdown regulations as unconstitutional and invalid. So that was a tremendous victory. We were probably one of the first organizations in the entire world that actually attacked those unconstitutional and invalid measures that were also implemented in South Africa. And we've taken that up till our constitutional court. But unfortunately, as things happen these days, our constitutional court was not aligned with our arguments, and eventually that order was then set aside. But irrespective, it created a lot of positive impact in South Africa and in the world. And then we've got quite a number of, as I've indicated before, matters before the African Commission on Human People's Rights. For example, I am the legal representative for our former president, Jacob Zuma. He was in 2021, he was sent to imprisonment for contempt of court by our constitutional court, which is our highest court, and he was imprisoned by direct order, so he did not have an appeal. So we have assisted him to also take his matter to the African Commission, and it's currently pending before that commission still, to challenge the fact that he was imprisoned without any appeal option. So those are one of the or two of the major cases we are currently dealing with at this point in time.
Very interesting. But I understood right, you're not a professional lawyer, are you?
I am not. I have trained myself actually in law over the period of 30 years.
Yeah.
So I am not a member of the legal fraternity in South Africa, and that creates a lot of issues for the legal fraternity in South Africa the moment when I come on board, because they cannot treat me as a fellow of theirs. And we encourage people to actually represent themselves in court so that they don't need the services of a lawyer, which cost them a lot of money. And then because of this fraternal links between them, they tend to actually collude amongst one another. That should be the same in Europe as well. And it happens in South Africa plenty of times. So the moment when you represent yourself, you immediately have a very competitive advantage the moment when you enter the courtroom, because they cannot manipulate you into adhering to their fraternal practices amongst them. So that is one of the key issues. We empower people to use the court system and the legal system on their own, just like I have taught myself over 30 years. And I always brag that when people ask me, are you a lawyer? Then I say, no, I'm better than a lawyer. Because that is, in fact, the truth, because I can do things that they cannot do in many instances. And that is what we teach our people that we represent.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you. At your channel on Telegram, you claim that LFN has contributed around 1 billion rand in value to society by offering services that, if done by legal practitioners, would cost this much. How do you come to this conclusion?
Oh, well, that's a calculation that we have done internally. It's not just a thumbs up number that we've put out there. When you take the average cost of legal representation, professional legal representation in South Africa, and you put that to each and every case that we have done over the years and still busy with. For example, all our challenges, court challenges against our government would most probably reach in the area of about 50 million rand, at least at this point in time.
Yeah.
And so when you calculate that in all the individual cases and you count them together, then we have actually saved the people of South Africa around 1 billion rand in legal costs by doing that free of charge for them.
Wow.
And we will obviously get to that point, how we managed to do that. But it's so vitally important that people have access to court. And in order to do that, you have either to get a lawyer to do that, which is going to cost a lot of money, or you have to do it yourself.
Yep.
But we have actually put a third leg there to come to us, and we encourage that people create similar organizations like us to also empower people legally, so that they can be get proper assistance when they take their own matters to court. And in that way, we save a lot of money for the people.
That's very interesting, because it's also a big problem in Europe, in Germany, that you are suffocated basically by the high court costs, and so they get the people down, and finally the whole case is dismissed because usually the victim has to give up for financial reason. And I asked myself, so if you really don't charge anything for your services, why do you do that?
Well, I am a dedicated Protestant Christian, and how I understand my Bible is that we should share what we've got in abundance with others. And I believe that my God is someone who is not encouraging people to get rich and share obviously what they've got. And in that sense, we are sharing our expertise in the legal field with others who are not as fortunate as us. And by doing that, free of charge, without expecting anything in return, we actually get people who then donate to us for the assistance that they have received, and also others who are encouraged by our open-heartedness also come out and make voluntary donations. We always tell the people that we assist that maybe we do not have the infrastructure to accommodate you, but we will at least lead you in the right direction without charging you anything for what we're going to do. And if you do have the financial means now or in the future, we would appreciate a voluntary donation, but it's not compulsory. That way, we've seen that people are so happy with the services that we render to them free of charge, that the moment when they get money and they're in a position, they do provide to us with a voluntary donation, and that way we keep our organization going. As I say, that I am not rich. But I believe that through this caring system, we have, God provides to me and my family just enough to satisfy our needs. And not one day can I say that we do not have food or we do not have a roof over our heads. God has a tendency and a habit to come through at the very last minute, but he always comes through for me. So I'm very much grateful and blessed by that.
Thank you for sharing that. That's, I think, very encouraging for the people everywhere in the world, where we see that money has damaged so many things in this world, that it's very important to encourage people to not to focus on that, but to do the right thing, and everything else is provided. We're coming almost to the finish of our interview. Can you tell us a little bit about the connections between Europe and South Africa? Because for us it's very far away, but as we talked earlier, there are some interesting connections. Maybe you can tell people a little bit more about that.
Well, I think the most important connection between South Africa and Germany at this point in time is the fact that many people don't know this, that when the COVID-19 pandemic started, and before it was actually called the SARS-CoV-2 virus, way back between the 5th and the 7th of February, 2020, Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, obviously came to visit our President Cyril Ramaphosa. But at that very same time, another very important person was also in South Africa and busy with with meetings between our government and himself, none other than Bill Gates.
What do you say?
And you can clarify and confirm this, that on the 7th of February, there was in fact a tennis match to get funding for a certain foundation. There was a tennis match between Roger Federer and Nadal in Cape Town on the 7th of February, which was hosted by Bill Gates. So everyone can easily check that out to know that at the very same time, we have Angela Merkel, Bill Gates, and Cyril Ramaphosa, who was at that point in time also the chairperson of the African Union. I've seen a video later on where Bill Gates specifically has indicated that he had a meeting with Cyril Ramaphosa, but he did not say that Angela Merkel and an entourage of business people from Germany came to South Africa for only those 3 days. And shortly thereafter, as we can remember, on the 11th, I believe, of February, SARS SARS-CoV-2 virus was identified, and then also it was called the COVID-19 pandemic officially. The reason why we believe that happened was that, and as Bill Gates later on also said, was that South Africa and Cyril Ramaphosa specifically was the corridor between Europe, the Western world, and the African continent. So without that meeting, I believe it would not have been possible to have the COVID-19 pandemic in the form and shape as it was, because the African countries are very much conservative, but they relied on its leader at that point in time, Cyril Ramaphosa, to take the lead and encourage them to follow the COVID-19 measures.
Wow, that's interesting. So we're really in an international world. So it's very good to hear from the other side of the world how you experience things and what you're doing there. Thank you very much. Last question: how can the people abroad stay in contact with you?
Well, they can visit our website, www.libertyfighters.org, and all our contacting details. The cases we are working on are also there. And for those who feel that they can do much more for us and assist us in our work, our voluntary donation details are also there. And we would appreciate the support, whether it's financial or just to connect with us and share information.
Yes.
For example, sharing of information in the sense that we're also busy with a very important case against our South African Health Products Regulatory Authority to get all the vaccine records of the registered COVID-19 vaccines. So I believe that other countries, like, for example, in Germany, are also struggling to get those vaccine registration records, and we can just share information, tips and records that we might have, or parts of that, and share it with the rest who don't have that. And in that way, maybe a bit from Germany, maybe a bit from the USA, together we can find a proper record of what these COVID-19 vaccines really are. Just an example, but synergy definitely will really be appreciated.
Yeah, I think that's a very good landing point. But I think it's very important for activists from all over the world to connect, as we do today by this interview, to bring the pieces together, as you said, maybe from one continent, maybe from the other, and really get an impact, especially on the whole COVID-19 issue. Reyno, I thank you very much for this interview. God bless you, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you very much. God bless.